Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for checking the video out today. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and discuss. So before we dive into these topics, do me a favor. If you do end up enjoying this video or finding it informative, be sure to leave it a like. Really helps the videos out. And if you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well. We're starting here talking about PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium. Not only do we have a new list of classic games that you can play on the PS4 and PS5 that will support trophies, but we also have the full list of games for PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium released. Now, I'm going to let you know right up front that I'm not going to run down the entire list of games because there's just simply too many, but I will have an article linked down below where you can check out the entire list for yourself. It is pretty extensive. But starting here, talking about classic PlayStation games offering trophies, we know that Siphon Filter was a game that was announced by Ben Studio to offer this, as well as a Platinum, and a lot of PlayStation fans were very happy to hear about this and also very surprised. So reading from PlayStation Lifestyle, they say Sony is slowly rolling out the PS1 classics for PS4 and PS5 on the PSN backend ahead of the launch of PS Plus Premium in Asia on May 24th. Ape Escape, Hot Shots Golf, Intelligent Cube, Siphon Filter, and Wild Arms trophies lists have appeared, putting them among the PS1 titles receiving enhancements for their release on the service. But continuing to talk about PlayStation Plus Premium, specifically classic games and how they play on the PS5, reading from WCCF Tech, they say following the arrival of these titles on the Asian PlayStation Store, these classic games were tested running on a PlayStation 5 by YouTuber Mystic Ryan. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Mystic, and emulation of these games seems better than most had initially expected. Clearly, emulation on Sony's console isn't on the same level as modern PS1 PC emulators just yet, but it's pretty good nonetheless. Features for these games include optional trophies, which we just talked about, rewind, save states, and various video filters, including different video presets, where they offer default, retro, and modern, and they will also offer different aspect ratios. And so yeah, I highly recommend watching this video that Mystic put out for anybody who's interested. He did extensive testing here, and it seems like Sony did a really good job. In fact, I think Sony did better than most people were expecting, and we'll have to assume it's only going to get better from this point going forward. So let me know down in the comments if you plan to play some PlayStation Classics on your PS4 or PS5. But we are moving to the next topic, which talks about an upcoming PlayStation VR event that is apparently set to happen very soon. Reading from PlayStation Lifestyle, they say rumblings of a PlayStation State of Play have intensified following rumors that a PSVR2 event might take place very soon, as Sony plans to showcase the device in a substantial way after its GDC 2022 appearance. That's according to journalist and insider Jeff Grubb, who also thinks it's likely that the device will release this holiday or very early next week. And so that's what's being said. Honestly, guys, you know, this is something that, yeah, I mean, we've been talking about an upcoming PlayStation event. It's probably something we're going to continue to talk about going into June. The idea that PSVR 2 would be part of that would make a ton of sense. We know that this is something that Sony's going to have to do if they are planning to release it either by the end of the year or early 2023. And so I guess at this point, the only question that I'm really left with is not whether or not Sony's going to talk about PlayStation VR 2 or show it off, because the answer to that is they obviously will. It's more along the lines of, will they do it during a showcase or an event, or are they going to kind of separate these two things and give PSVR 2 its own thing and then kind of have a separate PS5 game showcase? I want to say that it's likely they're going to talk about both in a single event, and the reason why I'm saying that is because we've heard previously, and I think that this is going to be proven true, that Sony is trying to create as many PS5 games that are also PSVR 2 compatible. Basically, games that are considered big AAA titles that you can buy for your PS5, but if you also get a PSVR 2 headset, they also offer a compatible VR mode as well. Obviously, there are going to be just dedicated VR games for this headset. There's no doubt about that. But Sony seems to be pushing for that kind of, you know, extra VR mode, I guess you could say, for a lot of these games. And because of that, I I could see them doing it in the same event. A game that kind of comes to mind is Resident Evil 7. That was a pretty popular game that it was obviously made for the PS4 first and foremost, but it did have a dedicated VR mode as well where you could play the entire game with PSVR. I think that's kind of what we're going to see. So, if we do get a PlayStation showcase soon, it wouldn't surprise me if quite a few of the games that are shown off and talked about, you know, at the end of the trailers or whatever, it also says, VR compatible or something along those lines. So let me know down in the comments below what you hope to see when it comes to PlayStation VR 2. Moving on to the next topic. This one is very interesting. Spider-Man could have been an Xbox exclusive, but Microsoft turned down a Marvel deal. Again, from PlayStation Lifestyle, Marvel's Spider-Man PS5 and PS4 exclusivity has often been a subject of debate among the gaming community, but it turns out Microsoft passed up a potential deal with Marvel, whereas Sony snagged it. Yes, Spider-Man could have been Xbox exclusive, but alas, the history behind Peter Parker swinging his way onto PlayStation platforms as part of an exclusivity deal has been revealed in Stephen L. Kent's book, The Ultimate History of Video Games, Volume 2. According to Marvel's Jay Ong, his company wanted to replicate Marvel properties' box office success in the video game world. When Ong approached Microsoft, the company told him that it was prioritizing its own IPs and passed up on a deal. Sony's Adam Boyes and John Drake, on the other hand, were interested in Ong's proposal. Boyes, Drake, Connie Booth, the Sony VP of Product Development, and Scott Rohde, Sony's Senior VP of Product Development, offered to make a PlayStation-exclusive AAA Spider-Man game. Marvel mutually terminated its contract with Activision, and Sony tapped Insomniac Games, then a third-party studio, to make the 2018 game that went on to become a global hit. And so, yeah, this is a story that I'm sure many of you saw making the rounds, and rightly so. It's a very interesting story and pretty unexpected. I mean, you really have to wonder what was going on inside the leadership of Microsoft's heads, because, I mean, I don't know how you would pass up on a opportunity like this. And I think the strangest thing about this is that during the time when Microsoft was kind of being tapped to do something like this, they were mainly focused on, Halo, Gears, and Forza and whatnot. That's kind of what they became known for a while, and, still during the Xbox One generation. And I feel like them getting an exclusive Spider-Man game probably would have helped them tremendously. So yeah, pretty crazy, but Sony obviously made the right move, and I'm just gonna say what I think a lot of people are thinking, and it's no offense to Microsoft, but it would have been a shame, honestly, if Spider-Man ended up being made by any other publisher and developer than Sony and Insomniac Games, because when you look at Spider-Man 2018, when you look at how good Spider-Man 2 is going to be, and you look at what you can expect with a game like Wolverine, I mean, it would have been, I think, pretty crazy if that never happened. But luckily, Sony made the right move, and they saw the potential here, and Insomniac Games absolutely nailed it. And so, yeah, the rest is history. I just wanted to take a moment to kind of talk about this with you guys, because I was pretty surprised when I came across this. I feel like anytime you're kind of offered the opportunity to make an exclusive Spider-Man game or something along those lines, you definitely don't turn that down. But I guess if you're a PlayStation fan, this actually worked out really well. I mean, I'm going to be honest, if I was an Xbox fan, I would probably be a little upset with this, thinking like, what was Microsoft thinking at that time? That's just pretty crazy. But yeah, let me know your thoughts about that down below. But continuing to talk about exclusivity deals, we have another really interesting one regarding Metal Gear Solid 4 and the PlayStation 3 exclusivity. Turns out that there was never actually an exclusivity deal between Sony, Konami, and Kojima Productions. It was actually just Kojima's choice to make it an exclusive. So again, from PlayStation Lifestyle, Sony never struck a Metal Gear Solid 4 PS3 exclusivity deal with Konami or Kojima Productions. Turns out Hideo Kojima himself didn't want to release the game on the Xbox 360. That's according to former Kojima Productions employee Ryan Payton, who was interviewed by author Stephen L. Kent for his book, The Ultimate History of Video Games, Volume 2. Considering the reception of Metal Gear Solid 4 on PS3, it made many wonder why Konami didn't release the game on the Xbox 360, especially since the console was extremely popular. The only logical answer fans could think of was an exclusivity deal. Not quite, apparently. The prevailing belief around the industry was that Sony must have secured an exclusive deal for the game, Peyton told Kent via Reset Era. It wasn't true. Had Kojima chosen to port the game to Xbox 360, his bosses would have surely approved the decision, but he wasn't ready to make that jump. The actual explanation for Kojima not wanting to make the jump is Xbox 360's technical limitations. When Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection was announced for PS3, the developer was quizzed about the lack of an Xbox 360 version, to which he replied that he couldn't release MGS4, which is part of the collection, on Microsoft's console because the amount of data in MGS4 is just too enormous. PS3 had the advantage of Blu-ray discs, but the game would need around 7 DVDs to fit on the Xbox 360. When it's the next Xbox console, maybe we can release it. That's what Kojima said at the time. Obviously, that still hasn't happened. I would love to get a re-release or a remaster of MGS4 for PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, but yeah, I just had to continue talking about some of these very interesting stories here because I don't know. A part of me is not surprised, but a part of me also is a little bit surprised. I mean, the thing about Metal Gear Solid 4 at the time of its release is it was insanely impressive on every level, from a graphical level, a technical level. Like, you could tell that Kojima Productions at the time was really trying to tap into the power of the PS3, which, as we know, there was a lot of power there with the PS3. It was just very, difficult to kind of tap into, and it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense why Kojima didn't bring it to Xbox at the time. And so, yeah, I mean, we'll have to kind of sit back and wait and see if at any point in time, if Metal Gear Solid 4 ends up making its way to Xbox consoles. But there you go. That's the story of why Metal Gear Solid 4 was a PS3 exclusive. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Again, leave it a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.